One of our good friends, Andy Staples, joins us on set here in Nashville. He did his show earlier inside and is part of On3 now, of course. What is up? How are you?
This is amazing. You guys have the best taste in remotes. Your locations are spectacular.
I mean,
Like at SEC Media Days, we're all sitting on Radio Row. Y'all have a suite upstairs where there's booze and everything. Like I am just taking notes. Let's put it that way.
Please do.
I can't believe how good it feels at post Memorial Day.
I know
This is amazing because it's only going to be like 83 today, but we got this breeze and you guys hit it on the head.
I could take a nap after the show. There's no doubt. I can nap in this weather.
One of us is getting in the pool after the show. Can you tell which one?
Yeah.
All of you.
I thought it was a pool party.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, everybody's suited up.
Listen, this is what I've learned about Lance. He is always dressed for the party, wherever the party may be. And again, I'm taking notes.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, so I'm going to put you on the spot. We're doing our 40 and 40 right now. Mm-hmm. And we previewed Wisconsin and Luke Fickell going into year 2, 7-6 last year. Also year 2 for Phil Longo. Tyler Van Dyke comes in, but that schedule is brutal. Like, what are the expectations for Wisconsin? And, if he has another 7-6, what are Wisconsin fans saying about Luke Fickell?
They're not happy, and they're not. But what's interesting is I had Luke Fickell on the show last week, and we talked about what he learned in that first year. And you could tell he's trying to say it in as gentle a way as he can, but it was not necessarily the program that you would come to expect from Wisconsin when he took over, because you expect this toughness, these great offensive linemen, and they just culturally weren't where they were under Brett Bielema, under Paul Chryst in the early years. That Chryst's program had not been recruiting great. And when I say that, I don't mean like in terms of 4 stars, 5 stars. They'd not been IDing guys like they used to, where these are kind of hidden gems that they can then develop. They just didn't have that. And so Luke Fickell definitely had to increase the talent on that roster. If you go back to Cincinnati and you look at his first full cycle recruiting class, that class was littered with guys who ended up starting on that playoff team in 2021. So he can evaluate. He's got down. He doesn't have Marcus Freeman on that staff anymore. He doesn't. Some of those good recruiters have gone and gone on to bigger and better things. But I have a lot of faith in Luke Fickell in terms of developing a program culturally, because I think their problem last year was Tanner Mordecai got hurt. He was their starting quarterback, and then Chez Malusi got hurt, their best running back, and it sort of fell apart after that. And if you watch them early, even when those guys were healthy, like they weren't super fast at receiver. They just weren't that dynamic offensively. If they get to the point where they are good running the ball, which I think they can be better running the ball, and you look at Phil Longo, you say he's an air raid guy. Now, what was the best year of a Phil Longo offense? 2020 at North Carolina, when he had Michael Carter and Javonte Williams.
Yeah, 2 1,000-yard guys.
Exactly. There's a game against Miami where they averaged 10 yards a carry and probably could have run for 800 yards. Like, that's the team I expect Wisconsin to ultimately be running this offense, because you do have that same resource where you can still get those big offensive linemen and develop them, but that's not something that happens overnight, and that position group had fallen off.
For the Alabama fans who watch our show, where do you put possibility of upset meter 1 to 10 on Alabama's trip to Camp Randall?
2 or 3.
2 or 3, so not very high.
I think Alabama is a lot more talented team, just a lot more talented. And obviously everything has to get figured out with a new coach, new schemes, all that stuff. But I do think that Kalen DeBoer knows what he's doing. I mean, the guy's lost 12 games as a head coach, and 3 of those were taking over Fresno State during the pandemic. So this is not a situation where Alabama's going to drop off very much. I think Alabama's going to be very good, and Wisconsin's just not there yet. But it'll be a good test for Alabama. Good road environment. The crowd will be crazy. They'll be jumping around. But yeah, Alabama is just better.
Andy Staples with us on 3 Sports, the Andy Staples Show. You do everything for him. We ask you to do for us. Give him a thumbs up, subscribe, follow him on YouTube and Twitter, X, all of those things, all social media. Same thing you do for us, do for Andy as well. We appreciate that. He's with us here in Nashville. We got sucked into this. Boy, Oklahoma got a tougher schedule than Texas deal. And then we looked at it. We're like, boy, Oklahoma did get a tougher schedule.
Oklahoma got
Brutal.
A rough schedule.
I had not stopped and looked at it until Dunaway brought up that the Oklahoma fans are saying, look, here we go. Another conference in Texas is getting the benefit.
Florida's is the worst.
Yes.
And then it's Georgia, Oklahoma. And Georgia's is bad because the hardest games are on the road.
Right.
And like next year it flips and they'll get those games at home.
Right.
And so Georgia's will look a little bit more.
Not as magnified because it's Georgia, though.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, Oklahoma is, because you think about that closing kick where they've got to play Alabama and LSU.
Yes.
And then, but also, okay, their first SEC experiences. Tennessee comes to you, then you go to Auburn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma fans are so used to winning at everything, and Auburn's been a little down. And they're like, oh, well, that's a win. And I'm like, are you serious? Have you guys ever been to a game at Jordan-Hare?
I know.
Like,
anything could happen.
Oh, and the thing is, like, there are days at Jordan-Hare where the 85 Bears could come in.
That's right.
And wouldn't win.
Yep.
And I think Auburn's going to be considerably better this year. I really do, because I think if you give Hugh Freeze a chance to call the plays, figure out what his offense is. I don't understand. Like, you guys can tell better than me. Like, what is it about Auburn that makes people who are good at calling plays not want to call plays anymore?
So bizarre, isn't it? Yeah.
But Hugh Freeze back calling plays. Not only is he back calling plays, he now can talk into a walkie-talkie and talk to his quarterback, and nobody else can hear it. Like, when he was at Liberty and Malik Willis was the quarterback, there were times when he'd do the check with me kind of play, and he just point, throw to that guy.
Yeah.
Like, now he can say that and nobody can hear him.
Yeah.
That's a big advantage. So, like, that for Oklahoma, you could be 0-2 in the SEC right off the rip.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying, I think, for those folks, because they are so used to being successful. They're so used to winning. Now, I don't think Oklahoma is going to be a mediocre team. Like, I know Vegas initially had their win total at 6.5. It got bet up to 7.5 very quickly, but then it stayed there. I think they're over that this year, but they did rebuild their offensive line.
And how good is Jackson Arnold?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We've seen one game. It was the Alamo Bowl against Arizona, and you saw some flashes of where the ceiling is, but he had a ton of turnovers, and it was like, okay, this is a true freshman. Now, he played against BYU, but it was really limited experience. So we don't know what he was going to be when he's the guy, and he spent the whole offseason preparing for that. I do think ability-wise, his ceiling is very high. There's a reason they let Dylan Gabriel walk, and Dylan Gabriel is going to be real good at Oregon this year.
Really good.
But the thing about the new SEC is the margins are so thin because, like I said, you have two bad weeks in a row against Tennessee and Auburn. You are 0-2.
Yeah.
And Tennessee and Auburn need that win as bad as Oklahoma does.
Yeah. Sticking in the SEC, who wins a college football playoff game first? Brian Kelly at LSU or Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss?
Well, I think it's Lane Kiffin because I think that could happen this year. I'm not sure. I mean, I think LSU could potentially make the playoffs.
Ole Miss misses playoffs. It's a disaster for Ole Miss fans.
Absolutely. They should have made it. I mean, they would have made it last year if there was a 12 team. What they've done through the portal, especially on the line of scrimmage, is something we didn't think was possible because there's usually not that much available in terms of offensive and defensive linemen in the portal, but they get Walter Nolan. They get some guys on the offensive line that were pretty good that are going to so they brought back a bunch of offensive line starters. They had legit position competitions with transfers where they're like Michigan last year, where they're going to go in there with 7-8 guys who can really play on the offensive line, which that's been Ole Miss's problem. Ole Miss's problem is when they see a Georgia or an Alabama, they cannot hold up at the line of scrimmage. They should be able to do that now. So yeah, they should not only make the playoff, but should be, advancing in the playoff. And the thing is, we talk about hard schedules. Ole Miss got the opposite of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ole Miss and Tennessee got schedules that I think are fairly manageable, all things considered. And so if you're Ole Miss, you may be in Atlanta. You may have a chance to win the SEC and get the bye. Like, everything's laid out there for Ole Miss. You've got to make it happen this year.
Before you go, the change in sunlight here reminds me of when I was a kid and the Cowboys played at Irving Stadium.
The shadows.
And they left the
little ray of sun.
So God could watch
That's
the Cowboys
right.
play.
I can watch his team.
So God's watching our show right now. You're in the shady part. Your favorite stadium to go to and watch a game in? You've gone to a lot of them.
Ooh.
You probably don't go to as many as you used to. Maybe you do. I don't know. But your favorite one to go? I'll take the swamp off.
So I've been to every SEC stadium.
Right.
I haven't been to every Big Ten stadium, but I've been to all the big football schools. I've been to every Big 12 stadium. Have I now? Yes, I have. I actually think that I'm like the membership's changed. Have I? Yes, I have. But so I still think the whole game day experience at LSU is unparalleled. It just the tailgate scene inside the game. Now, I will say, in recent years, more people have wanted to stay outside and party, and they have no shows in the stadium. But for the big games, they don't. And it sounds like a jet engine taking off when that game is getting started. So for the whole, weekend experience, I think LSU is the best because those people are so nice, and they will, they'll offer you beer, they'll offer you gumbo, they'll offer you steak, whatever they're cooking, they're offering, and they just want to have a good time, and they love them Tigers. So I think that's probably my favorite, but Tennessee's great, Alabama's great, and like I said about Auburn, there are those days, and you know which days. Like, remember when Georgia came in 2017? It didn't matter.
Yep.
Georgia right now, it didn't matter.
Oklahoma's tailgate scene fits SEC better than Texas, right?
Texas, well, both of them are kind of wine and cheese crowds. Like, Texas A&M is a much better cultural fit in the SEC than those guys. Like, when Texas A&M left the Big 12, all the Oklahoma and Texas people are like, oh, good luck, those weirdos. And I'm like, Texas A&M and Auburn fans are basically the same except for the all-male cheerleaders at A&M. Like, it's not that different. And, like, Texas and Oklahoma, they're going to have to get used to some of this. Like, when Oklahoma rolls into Auburn, or when Texas comes – now, Texas will come to Georgia in 25. Like, it'll be different for them because there were no road venues in the Big 12 like that. There's no deafening environment. There's some good environments. Like, K-State's a great place to watch a game. Iowa State is a very tough place to win. But it's not the same as Sanford Stadium, Neyland Stadium, the Swamp, Jordan-Hare, Bryant-Denny Stadium. I mean, a good example is Texas goes to Reynolds Razorback Stadium a few years ago.
Got run out.
They got destroyed.
Yeah.
And Arkansas fans will get after it. So that's the thing. It's the SEC is just so loaded with all these places where if you're good, if their team is good, or they just hate you and think they can beat you, you're going to be in for a very loud day.
At Andy_Staples on Twitter. You go there, you can find the link to his show that he does every day at On3 Sports. Go follow him. Give his show a thumbs up, subscribe, follow it on YouTube. We always appreciate the time. Always fun talking with you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You got a t-shirt out of it, too.
I did. I got a free t-shirt.
And last year you got liquor.
That's true.
I did. I got a bottle of vodka last year. That was the best.